Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a look at Saskatchewan's COVID-19 numbers. There are 183 new cases of COVID-19. 26 of them are in the Northwest, with 16 in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 132 active cases. Our Northwest zone has 205 cases, the third highest in the province, behind only Regina and Saskatoon. 163 people are in hospital, with 5 in the Northwest. 341 cases in our zone to date are variants of concern. More than 535,000 doses have been administered province-wide, with over 36,000 in the Northwest. The City of Lloydminster is discussing the idea of a temporary outdoor patio program as a way to help with business recovery while staying in line with public health restrictions. The topic came up during this week's GPC meeting. The city's Economic Recovery Task Force found that local restaurants could benefit from the additional space. The temporary program would speed up the typical permit process and lower the application fee from $75 to $25. The program would be similar to what's been done in other Alberta municipalities as a way to reduce red tape and support local businesses.
It's a great opportunity to work towards the downtown because we have businesses downtown that may be interested, and it works into the DARP. So there's many different facets to this whole process, and I think being able to react as quickly as we can, which often people say City Hall is slow to do.
While the program would reduce permitting wait times, businesses would still have to submit a site plan including seating, table, and exit locations. The additional patio space would increase a restaurant's overall capacity while staying in line with the Reopen Saskatchewan plan.
Many businesses in the community, restaurants and lounges, have a certain seating capacity, but they've been greatly reduced. The intention was, can we help them just that ever so much with seating capacity to increase the potential for their business?
A final decision on this program will be made at a future City Council meeting. A class at St. Mary's Elementary School was recently awarded with an A+ for Energy grant, and in this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at how they're using the grant for their 3D printing projects. Inside Education's A+ for Energy grant is awarded to schools around Alberta, including this grade 7 class at St. Mary's Elementary School. They were awarded with $5,000, which they used to purchase 2 3D printers.
A couple carts with them as well, with the long-term goal of being able to work with other classrooms in the school. With COVID procedures and such, that wasn't really the case this year, but long-term we will be able to work with other grades. Grade 7s oftentimes act as mentors for younger grades, so giving them the opportunity to demonstrate some leadership skills, some collaboration skills with students who might have very interesting ideas but may not have the means to create it themselves.
Urasaki applied for the grant last May and found out his class won in June. Their concept for the grant was creating renewable energy, and now they've been utilizing 3D printers to see their ideas come to life.
We got the project started in September, October, and up to this point here now we're kind of getting close to the big piece of, okay, we've built our skills, we've talked about the conversation pieces we want to address. Now it's all about hunkering down, using those skills, using that knowledge, using that information to create real-world depictions or models of all of these concepts we've been focusing on.
The grant helps encourage classes to think about the future and what Alberta's energy may look like then, a skill which Urasaki says will become very useful.
I think these skills are transferable. One of the themes for this project was to do with 21st century skills, all to do with coding and robotics. Saskatchewan curriculum, Alberta curriculum, coding and robotics are becoming standard. So having these skills and being able to visualize, people who have careers in engineering and such will be using very similar CAD programs to what they're using stripped down for Chromebooks and things like that.
And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College, home to the most hands-on education in Canada. Apply today and graduate job ready.
The Lloydminster Lions Club will be having their medieval feast near the end of the month to help with projects within the community. Although now with COVID-19, the annual feast will be a drive-through for residents to stay social distance. Our Shelby Clark got the details.
Joining us for Primetime Local News today is Kathy Simpson, the chairman for the Lloydminster Lions Club 2021 Medieval Drive-Thru Feast. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now, what is the club doing differently with the feast this year?
Well, because of COVID, like everything else in the world right now, we can't get together to do the big medieval feast. So we're looking for a fundraiser, and we came up with a drive-through supper. And we thought we would use the medieval feast as a theme to remind people that someday we will go back to the medieval feast.
And how many years has this medieval feast been a part of the community now?
Just 2. We did it twice, and then COVID put a stop to it.
And for residents who aren't aware, when and where will this drive-thru be?
It'll be on May the 29th at the Legacy Center. We're going to use their parking lot.
And for people wondering, how exactly will this drive-thru work?
So you purchase your tickets. We would like all the meals purchased ahead of time, so we make sure we have enough groceries. And you purchase your tickets at the Lloydminster Lions at gmail.com. And then when you come on at any time after 4:30 on May the 29th, bring your ticket with you. You can be on your phone or you can print it off, whatever you like, and come on through the lineup. We got a couple of little things to entertain you on the way. And yeah, we'll deliver your meal to your car.
And as you were saying, the club has had this before COVID-19 now. What was the support like in previous years?
Oh, we sold out. The first 2 years that we had it, we sold out. It was a lot of fun for us working at the event and for everybody that showed up. It was great. Everybody dressed up, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And are there other ways that people in the community can help support the club with the feast this year?
Just come through the drive-through. Buy a ticket, $20 a meal, roast beef, chicken, roast vegetables, salad, and bread. And yeah, just buy a meal. Come on down and see us. Hopefully we're dressed up. There'll be some decorations to remind you about the feast. And yeah, that's I don't know what else to say.
And what are the proceeds from all the tickets being sold going towards?
Most of the proceeds will be used for stuff that we're doing in the community that involves young people. We have the Kiwanis Music Festival, we have minor hockey, and we have young gentlemen that we're helping out with eye therapy. So it's all young people.
Does the club believe that there will be lots of tickets sold through the pandemic?
Well, we're sure hoping. We haven't done anything for fundraising for 2 years, so we're sure hoping that there is. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Lloydminster's not very good at doing stuff ahead of time, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I believe with the Lloydminster community, there will be lots of tickets sold this year for the event. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just make sure you buy your tickets ahead of time. I won't have any, you can't come drive through and pay cash on the day. Hopefully we won't have any left. Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us today, Kathy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now our Connor Chan will take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. It has been very warm today as we're in those high teens, close to the 20-degree mark, as we are going to see temperatures warm up over the next couple of days here, with the wind kind of picking up a little bit coming in from the west-southwest. Still no major signs of showers from today. Most of that has been in eastern parts of Saskatchewan, as I'll show in the radar map in just a second here. As we take a look to other temperatures here, also in the high teens, we see that also in St. Paul, Lac La Biche, and Cold Lake sitting at 17 degrees, 18 up in Bonnyville and Pearceland, and Vegreville and Edmonton sitting at 18 degrees as well. 16 degrees for North Battleford right now. It's 18 also out in St. Walburg, and then 14 up in Isle La Crosse. Here's a look at the satellite radar map right now. A lot of that, as I mentioned, out moving eastbound to the Saskatchewan areas, seeing most of those showers. There are some areas that could see around a 40 to 30% chance of some of that rain, as well as for us here in Lloydminster, we could be seeing that rain a little bit later into the week as that low pressure system starts to move down in towards the Saskatoon areas as well, which will result for for some more rain on top of that. Now here is a look at some temperatures overnight tonight. 2 degrees overnight with a little bit of cloud coverage in North Battleford, going into another 20-degree day tomorrow in the area, with 23 as the daytime high in North Battleford. And we're going to start to see that trend of temperatures continuing on into those 20-degree temperatures, 4 degrees overnight with that same kind of cloud coverage mix there. Chance of some rain, a little chance of some thunderstorms also up in the Cold Lake area for tomorrow, as well as in the Edmonton and Calgary areas as well. And then for us here in Lloydminster, 5 degrees overnight. We could see a little bit of those showers as well for tomorrow, around that 30 to 40% though. So there is still that possibility of never say never for when it comes to rain here in the border city. Now take a look into Friday. 21 degrees will be the daytime high as we continue those 20-degree temperatures. Going into Saturday, we will have a 75% chance of seeing some showers there. So most likely on the weekend is when we'll see the heavy flow of rain in the forecast there around the area that has been much needed over the course of the last little bit here. That is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Late last week, another former Lloydminster Bobcat committed to a post-secondary school. After spending the last 2 years in the orange and white, Cole Jungworth will be heading to Wilkes University. Evan Kenny has more.
Number 5 for the Bobcats is also the 5th out of 6 20-year-olds from last year's Lloydminster Bobcats team to further their hockey career through school.
For Cole, he was one of the most underrated players for us. I think when we got him, he was down in junior in the North American League and then came up to us and jumped in and was really effective, found his stride. And, you look at the end of last year and the amount of shots he's blocked. I think, even talking to him all the way back to high school, he's never scored the big goals and done all that. But it's the skill and the craft of the game that, doesn't get the spotlight like it used to.
Jungworth played 35 games with the Bobcats since the midway point of the 2019-20 season.
He came in this year. He was a leader for us. His personality really helped out our room, and then he's really effective. I think early on in our development season, he shut down the big lines. We put him out against that. He was obviously helped in our penalty kill, and he knew his role. And again, as years go by, some guys always want to be goal scorers when maybe they're not. Cole knew what his role was, and he played it to a T. And
the Bloomington, Minnesota native finished this season with the Minnesota Moose of the USPHL, scoring 11 points in 6 games.
And he was all obviously dedicated to our program and dedicated to Lloydminster through the ups and downs. He went through the quarantine to get up here, and lived at camp for 2 weeks. He stuck it out for 4 months here, the better part of 3 months, closer to 4 when we weren't playing, to hope that we could get back to playing. And that was a big thing. So his commitment, he was in the gym every day that, he was allowed to be, and he did everything on his own, like just a dedicated person, dedicated player. And we can go back in 4 years and we're probably not going to talk about Cole Jungworth's points, but we're going to talk about how he was valuable around. And the other part for him too is he's looking to go into the finance and the business there and a grade school program. And that's a big part.
Jungworth will be joining a relatively new program in Wilkes, entering their 4th season. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Seeing right now, still sitting around those high teens, 18 degrees right now for us here in Lloydminster still, as we also see some 18s in Edmonton, Athabasca, and Whitecourt. There were a little bit of showers spreading through from west to eastbound today. As of course I mentioned, most of the rain has been seen in parts of Saskatchewan as we look at 17 degrees in the Edson, Red Deer, and Jasper areas as well. Continuing on into Saskatchewan, also very warm over the course of the day. 16 in North Battleford right now, with 19 in Saskatoon and Melford right now, 20-degree mark in Prince Albert, and then 19 also in Meadow Lake. Now taking a look to temperatures up in the far north right now, we see some of them in the mid-range here as we look at 13 for the Lasha and Buffalo Narrows. Laurent sitting at 15, 16 all the way out in Flin Flon. A little bit cooler up in the far north as we see that cold front, as I mentioned, still kind of hovering around a little bit there. 1 degree in Walston Lake, 7 in South South End, excuse me, and then Uranium City sitting at 7 degrees, 18 degrees in Fort McMurray. It's a little bit warmer up in the far north areas, high levels sitting at 19, along with Peace River, and then Slave Lake sitting at 16 degrees as well. Southern Alberta, of course, seeing very warm temperatures in Lethbridge at 19 degrees, and those high teens continuing on that trend. 17 in Medicine Hat, along with Coronation, 16 degrees in Calgary, and then we see Banff sitting at a nice 14 degrees right now. So lots of warm temperatures throughout the prairies here, which is always good to see around this time of year. 20 degrees in Moose Jaw, as well as we see that number in Yorkton, 18 in Regina and Estevan, and then 19 in both Swift Current and in Kindersley. And as we take a look to some temperatures right now across the country, very warm in Winnipeg as they're just at the 24-degree mark right now with mostly sun and a few clouds. Toronto warmed up a little bit from yesterday, sitting at 18 right now. A little bit of cloud coverage in Quebec City and also some heavier cloud coverage in the St. John's and Halifax areas, sitting at 9 degrees currently right now. That cloud coverage still kind of hovering over Edmonton right now at that 18-degree mark, with 16 in Vancouver, also seeing 9 degrees up in both Yellowknife and Whitehorse as well. Now here's what we could see for tomorrow. We are going to get a little bit warmer throughout the week. We'll continue to be over the 20-degree mark for the next couple of days here. So 23 will be our daytime high in the area, in the Lloydminster, Vermilion areas, with 21 up in Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Pearson. There is a chance of seeing some showers here tomorrow in our area, as Cold Lake has also the potential of seeing a potential thunderstorm warning as well in effect there. And then we'll see 21 in Vegreville, and moving over to the Saskatchewan side, we'll also see that number of 23 in North Battleford and 22 in Meadow Lake, and then 19 in Isle of Cross. Now here's a look at the next couple of days here. So as I mentioned, just shy of 50% of chances of showers, 21 on Friday, and we'll see some more rain once again on Saturday, as we are over 60% of chance of some rain there, much needed. We could see maybe about a couple millimeters worth of rain there. 23 on Sunday, and then going into Monday, that is not your imagination. That is a chance of seeing 30 degrees for Monday, and then going into Tuesday, we'll continue to be warm, and then we'll drop down a little bit by 10 degrees on Wednesday with that high of 16. But the lows will be also fairly warm in the positive, as we are above average for those daytime lows for May. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Henke Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. Last week, Stephanie, we were talking about how to create a schedule in a situation where you've got parents who are going through separation and divorce and have children that need to get to different events and appointments and that sort of thing. So this week, we're kind of breaking it down into more of the holiday parts of things, because that's obviously a big part to deal with too. So where does somebody get started when you're trying to make a holiday schedule for dealing with children who have a two-parent situation that they have to deal with?
Sure. So the first thing that we want to do is to define what holidays might be important to that particular family. So major holidays most families want to consider in their plan are things like Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, summer, long weekends, and even week-long school breaks. So these are things that where children are generally out of school for these periods, and parents want to make a different provision. Even some families will do Halloween as a special holiday provision. Next, once you've defined which holidays are important to you, parents should consider how detailed they want to be in their written plan on outlining those holidays. Some parents want to pick the holidays that are really important to them and just define those. Others want to pick which holidays they anticipate will lead to conflict between them, while others define every single holiday possible just to try to avoid conflict with their co-parent. There's also parents who decide to, what I call, agree to agree. So they agree that in the future, when and if holidays come up, we'll agree at that time as to that particular holiday and how we'll deviate from our regular schedule to make special provisions.
And when they are making this plan, Stephanie, how do you decide how much or how little information? You kind of talked a little bit about it in your last answer, but just getting into details, what's the best way to figure out the plan that's going to work for you?
Well, I usually say the rule of thumb is the more conflict that you have between two parents, the more detail that you're going to want to provide in your parenting plan. So if you believe that you and your co-parent can simply agree generally on how holidays will be shared, then you may be able to say something in your written plan like, let's agree to discuss a particular exception to the regular schedule 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever it is for your family ahead of that particular holiday so that we can discuss it, agree, and if we can't agree, then it gives us at least that bit of time to figure out a dispute resolution process. If you believe that there's going to most certainly be conflict over a particular holiday, it's absolutely best to negotiate that in advance and to put that into your written plan. I always say to families, somewhat in jest, to say that typically for family lawyers, Christmas and December in the family law world is usually a very busy season because people are having a lot of disputes over what to do at Christmas time. For my practice, I find that it's actually either a regular month or a slower month because all the families that I work with, I always ask them, what are you doing about Christmas? Let's come up with it in advance so that you're not spending all of December disputing over what are we going to do for that holiday period.
And if you're going to be a little bit, say, less specific when it comes to making up this schedule, what are some things that you can still do to avoid conflict because of that?
I recommend to families that they schedule co-parent meetings at least 3 times a year. So at these meetings, the parents would discuss anything relating to the children. So things like healthcare, developmental and educational needs, and other parenting related issues as they need. The holiday and the schedule specific things that you may want to discuss. For example, you could have a January meeting where you review the school schedule through to the end of the school year. You review any school breaks that are upcoming, holidays and special occasions, and you start to do that summer planning. Then in March, you might want to get together again to refine and agree upon that summer schedule, camps, activities, childcare, summer vacation, and other holidays that you think are going to come up in that next few month period. And then in August, again, I recommend that parents get together to review the upcoming school year. You've got the school schedule, of course, by that time, and you're trying to plan for those breaks that come up. So generally speaking, though, as long as parents review their calendars and the scheduling, both holiday and regular scheduling, if there's going to be exceptions that are made, as long as they review that well in advance, they should be good.
And now on the opposite end of things, Stephanie, if they want to be more detailed, what's the best way to take that on?
So there's so many ways to arrange holidays, but here's a few ideas for our viewers to start thinking things through. So earlier we talked about defining that holiday. So which holidays? But now let's get into it even deeper. So if we say something like Christmas, so what does Christmas mean? Are you meaning the entire 2.5 week or 2 week break from school? Do you mean just a few days on either side of December 25th? Or what kind of an exception to the regular schedule do you want to make? Another example would be Mother's Day and Father's Day. Are you going to make an exception just for the Sunday holiday itself? Or are you going to make special provisions and exception to the regular schedule for that entire weekend? So next, once you've defined that holiday, you want to decide on how that will be shared. Some families agree that the entire Christmas period, for example, will be with one parent, and then the following Easter period will be with the other parent, and then the next year it reverses. Or some families decide that they'll alternate Christmas in every year. Things like long weekends, do you want to have them such that your parenting time automatically gets extended to include that extra day? What happens if one parent isn't available to extend their parenting time to that extra day if they have work, for example? So there's so many considerations to make with respect to that holiday parenting. I highly recommend that parents plan as much in advance as possible and be as defined as possible in their written plan.
All right, Stephanie, well, great information once again, and we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you, and we will see you again next week.
Thanks, Stacey.
Mark Oden, Senior Communications Officer with Stars, joins us today, and we're talking about the annual Stars Lottery as it's officially underway in Saskatchewan. So, Mark, give us a little bit of a history of the Stars Lottery for those that don't know.
Well, this is the 10th year for the Stars Lottery in Saskatchewan, and it is our largest fundraiser of the year. Usually nets us in the neighborhood of $2.5 million, which goes directly to help out with our missions from our 2 bases here in Saskatchewan. It goes a long way to helping Stars be available 24/7, 365 to help everyone, whether they're working, playing, or traveling across Saskatchewan.
Last year was the first year it had to be done virtually because of the pandemic. Is the support still the same compared to other years when it was done normally?
Yes, it certainly does. Last year was one of our most successful lotteries ever, and we're so thankful to the people of Saskatchewan for supporting the lottery in such a big way, and really for sticking by us throughout the pandemic. We often say that unfortunately emergencies don't care what the season is. They don't care what else is going on in the world, or if there is a pandemic. We've been just as busy flying missions across Western Canada as we have ever been. Certainly, part of that is carrying people who may have or have been proven to have COVID-19, but also all the other missions that we do, whether it's to a highway, to a remote work site, to a farmer's field, to the lake, and for people going between hospitals. And so the need is still there. And Stars is needed as much as it ever was, and so is that support from the community. We often say that Stars was built by the community, for the community, and we're so thankful for the community, for them sticking behind us throughout the pandemic and throughout last year's lottery. And as we gear up for another virtual lottery this year, we really hope that the people of Saskatchewan will be back again to support it and to make it be a great success.
And talk about the funds that are distributed within Stars, because you did mention it helps out a lot. So talk about where the money will specifically go.
Well, as you can imagine, it costs a lot to operate a helicopter air ambulance service. And we're so grateful to the province of Saskatchewan, which funds us about 50% each and every year. But that still means that our foundation needs to raise approximately $10.5 million each and every year. And that goes into making sure that there is fuel in the gas tanks, that there are life-saving medications and equipment, diagnostic equipment, and training for our top-notch crew so that they can be available to help when they're needed. And obviously on a year like this, with the pandemic, in-person fundraising has been tough for all community organizations and charities. Stars is no exception. And so we're just really excited that the lottery is one fundraiser that can continue even through a pandemic.
Now, Mark, tell us about some of the great prizes that are up for grabs this year for people that buy tickets and enter the lottery.
Now, there are more than 2,060 prizes worth more than $4.2 million. Of course, we have those 2 grand prize show homes that we have every year, one in the Saskatoon area, one in the Regina area. They are both up for grabs. It's not an either or sort of thing. Each one of them is awarded fully furnished, and each one is worth more than $1.5 million. Whether you choose to live in it or sell it is your choice, but there's still beautiful show homes in beautiful areas and just gorgeous prizes to win. We have the early bird prize package, which is the ultimate outdoor adventure package. It's valued at $339,000. And what that is a truck, a trailer, toys, and cash. So that is a Ford F-350 truck, a Cougar toy hauler, a 5th-wheel trailer and hitch, a Polaris side-by-side and helmets, and then a whole bundle of camping accessories to go with that. And then if that isn't enough, $100,000 cash to go with that. So that's in the early bird prize package, but you need to get your tickets for that before June 24th. Then there are all the other prizes that we have. There are luxury vehicles, there are epic vacations, And for those who have concerns about traveling, which obviously right now it's not something we can do, but when it is safe to do so, those vacations will be there, or cash equivalents. And then there are over 1,700 other home, outdoor, electronics prizes, even unique things this year, like a home office renovation package for all those people working at home, or an outdoor backyard upgrade package as well. And then there is the Lucky Stars 50/50, which is always very popular, and it grows each and every year. And this year is no exception. Last year, lucky winner took home $900,000. And this year, if the Lucky Stars sells out, one lucky winner will take home over $2.5 million.
And lastly, where can people buy tickets and when are the draw dates?
Well, the easiest way to get tickets is to go online to starslottery.ca. But you can also call toll free 1-844-STARS-SK. And you can also send in a check, get your tickets by mail if you wish. For those who may be in Regina and Saskatoon, probably not many of your viewers will be. People aren't traveling that much. But if you do find yourself in the city and want to drop by one of our bases, you're welcome to do so, and pick up tickets there as well. For the early bird deadline, which you really want to get in on, the deadline there is June 24th. And for the main lottery draw and the 50/50 deadline, that is, sorry, I'll start that again. And for the main and 50/50 deadline, that is July 15th. And then the draws will take place. The early bird draw will be on July 8th. And the final draw and 50/50 draw will take place on July 29th.
Mark, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today and sharing with us what's up for grabs in this year's Stars Lottery. Make sure you go to sk.starslottery.ca to help support a great organization that helps many people in Saskatchewan. Mark, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, taking a look here at your weather forecast, we are going to be in the high teens tomorrow, as we are at 23 degrees for Lloydminster, Maidstone, and Vermilion. We'll see 21 degrees up in Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Pierce Lynn as well. A little bit of chance of some showers for tomorrow, as well as we could see potentially some thunderstorm activity going on in the Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, and Cold Lake areas as well, potentially as well. There is a slight chance, though, for some showers tomorrow with around the 40% mark. Taking a look to the next 7 days, 21 on Friday, 22 on Saturday with a 75% chance of some rain occurring, 24 for Monday, and 31 degrees on Monday, 24 for Sunday, excuse me, and then 24 degrees on Tuesday, and then wrapping up the 7 days with that high of 18 degrees and some cloud coverage continuing on.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.